Music's always been a part of my life. I'm a singer-songwriter as well. I was a session singer for a long time before I had my daughter. I sang in a wedding band, so I was a wedding singer. And so it's kind of always been important. And for every book that I write, I put together a book soundtrack that I listen to all the way through the writing process, and I will always put it in the back of the book as well, so you can see the music that I was listening to. And I love the way that music, it's one of those themes that I kind of return to quite a few times in through all my books. There've been several that have had music as a part of it. But I've been learning piano. I got piano lessons for my 40th birthday. And so for the last 12 years, I've been learning piano. My poor piano teacher is actually dedicated to my poor piano teacher because he has to put up with me learning piano. But there was just something so lovely about being able to sit down at an instrument and make a sound from it. And I love the idea because I've seen lots of when you go to railway stations, especially in the UK now, there's lots of these kind of play me pianos. So it's just a piano that's on the concourse of the station and anyone can get up and play. And so you get people doing very kind of basic songs and you get people doing Beethoven symphonies. And it's such a lovely way of kind of bringing strangers together. And so the idea was that my main character, she's in St Ives in Cornwall, which is an incredibly special place for me. And I know it very well and have been there. And yeah, I love the idea of it being outside this house that's being renovated, and it's just got a sign on it that says "Free to a Good Home," and it connects with something in my main character Merrin's past, and with both the characters actually, with Merrin and with Zach, who are the main characters. It's how it brings them together, and again, it's that story of how you bring people together and the sort of the weird sort of twist of events that has to happen in order for a meeting to happen. So that's where the piano came from, and it's very much the central theme of the story. And the story kind of grew out from that original idea. The Merrin Row is she owns a tiny cafe in St Ives. St Ives is a beautiful fishing village in Cornwall, in southwest of England, and it's just such a special place. Loads of artists and poets and writers have gone there over the years and been attracted to it. There's a real sense of kind of storytelling to it. It's a beautiful harbour. There are gorgeous beaches and all of these tiny little back streets and kind of courtyards, cobbled courtyards. And so her cafe is in one of these. It's set in the height of summer, which is when it's the busiest time because, of course, everybody wants to be by the sea in the summer. And so she's running this cafe, but she's come from a very messy divorce. She's had to build up her life from nothing. She lost everything in the divorce, and it just wasn't a very good period for her at all. So her cafe is already what she sees to be her success, her second chance. She adores being in the town. She loves everything about it. But as she's serving people in a cafe, she sees her customers getting together and falling in love, having kids. She's been there for a few years, so she's seen all of these changes in people's lives, and she sort of starts to want it for herself. So she's very much an onlooker into other people's lives and realizes this, and necessarily so, I think, as well, because she's still been hurt for it. She's still harboring a lot of hurt from the betrayal of her first marriage. And so, yeah, she is coming back from a night out, a rare night out, and comes across this piano and decides to wheel it home with her best friend Seth, who has maybe had a few drinks too many. And so I love the idea of them sort of at midnight pushing this piano through the streets and trying not to bump it and trying to get it back. And she gets it back to her cafe, which she lives above. And because all the houses in all the little cottages and things in St Ives are small because they were originally fishermen's cottages. So she realizes there's no way she can get it up to her flat upstairs, her apartment upstairs. But there is a courtyard at the back of the cafe. And so she says, brilliant, I could put it there and we can paint it. Seth is a big Taylor Swift fan. He's just been to see the Eras tour. Of course, he had the storytelling piano, story piano. And he says, well, you could paint it with flowers and things. So she paints the piano. And it's all about her owning this piano, giving it a second chance like she feels that she's had, and puts it in the courtyard of her cafe. So she's the main female character. My main male character is Zach Trevelyan. He is a pro surfer, but his career's been ended by an injury. And it's kind of meant that he's lost everything. He had to give up his home. He's desperately trying to work out what to do with the rest of his life. He's sort of sofa surfing with surf buddies. St Ives is a real centre, real hub for surfing in the UK. And so he's kind of sort of relying on the kindness of strangers to be where he is. But one of the things that he had to give up was a piano, which was always where he worked out all these issues. It was something that was given to him by his aunt. It meant the world to him. And he happens upon the piano in the courtyard, and decides to let himself in at night, one night, to go and play it, not realizing that Merrin lives upstairs. So Merrin wakes up and can hear this beautiful song coming from the courtyard and finds this guy kind of huddled over the keys. And it was actually inspired by a real thing that happened down in Cornwall, where there was a piano. It was actually in a church, and they used to kind of have an open house in the evening, very old stone church. Um, and people could come and could just come and play the piano, and they had hot drinks and this kind of stuff. And a homeless guy came in and started playing the most beautiful music. Someone took a video of it and it went viral. And then for ages people were trying to find this guy, to find out who he was, because his playing was so amazing. And then they finally found him, and it helped him to kind of get back on his feet, and he found a house and all of this stuff. So that was the inspiration for the, as soon as I thought of the piano, I thought I want to talk about this, that it's a lifeline for people and that it brings people together. It's very interesting. It's always during a first draft, and things kind of occur to you as you're writing. So I plot a lot more than I used to. I have an 11-year-old daughter, so I can't just sit and write through the night like I used to do. So I have to be a bit more organized with stuff. So I have a basic plot, but then I always leave room for kind of the plot to surprise me. And it's always during the first draft that things will occur to me as I'm writing, and I'll just kind of weave them in. I always say I'm a bit like a magpie. I look for little shiny bits to kind of weave into my nest. Um, and it's only ever when I read back the first draft that I go, oh, that came from this and this came from something else. So it's not, I don't think I've ever sat down and gone, I need to write a story about this thing that happened in my life. It kind of naturally comes out. And I think because writing has always been a catharsis for me, it's always been a way of making sense of the world. Um, it's just kind of, I don't notice the process now. It's very strange. And then afterwards, I'll look back and go, that was really obvious. Why did I not realize that that's what that's come from? So it's the more that I've done it. I mean, I've been writing a book a year now, say for 16 years. Um, it's just something that happens, and I love that. That's why I love first drafts so much, even though they're messy, even though I know they need loads of work. I love that kind of magic of things appearing on the page and things occurring to you as you're writing. So it is always a surprise what ends up in the book. It's never, I never have a tick list. I think the thing with the piano was a big thing. I think because it's always been a bit of a joke with my family, because it's taken me so long to learn it. But I never set out to learn the piano because I wanted to play it on stage. I did it for me because I wanted to learn. I'd always wanted to learn. I'd always been a vocalist. I always wanted to learn. So that came out, and kind of the magic, it really broke down for me kind of what happens when your fingers are translating music on a page, and the magic of that. Because I've music's been in my life for such a long time, it's never really occurred to me to think about that process. So that really came out. I think also the fact that with St. Ives, I mean, this is actually the second story that I've set in St. Ives, so Somewhere Beyond the Sea, that came out in 2018. Again, much the same as with my New York novels, the cast from that appear in this, which is great. So it was all about friendship, and I think one of the things that came out is this idea of a community. It's always been in my novels, but I don't. Again, it's not something that I kind of consciously do. It's just always there. But this idea of a supportive community, the people that give a town or a village or a city its personality. And it really helped me to kind of look at that in my own life, really, and kind of what's my community and who are the people that inspire me the most. A lot of the humor that you read in my books comes from friends and family, my former bandmates who I'm still in contact with, all of that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, it really kind of, and it felt like coming a bit more full circle again, because it's back to going back to St. Ives. And so, yeah, lots of different, in kind of lots of different tiny ways. I see what I've learned in my life, what I've learned. I mean, I'm over 50 now, and you start to take stock of stuff. And so, yeah, it was a really lovely way of kind of bringing all the things that I love about writing romantic stories together, and just seeing where I could take it was just it's such a challenge, and it was such a joy.